Hi there, it's Jen in the Hat, Stories from the Egg Chair, episode 3. It's almost Christmas. Have you been making your Christmas list? Well, I decided to read this story to you in this episode because it's called Truffle's Christmas, and he asked for something special. Might have to do with hula hoops because everybody wants a hula hoop for the holidays. So here we are. This story's a little bit longer. Stick with me. It's good because you have to find out what happens in the end. Might have something to do with a hula hoop. So, Truffle's Christmas by Anna Curry. Christmas was coming. All the little mice had finished their letter to Santa. All that is, except for Truffle. He couldn't decide what he wanted. I'd really love a hula hoop, but I wish we had a blanket. A nice new blanket without any holes. But there again, sometimes it's hard at Christmas time to decide if we want something fun or something useful. You'll have to decide, said Emmeline, his big sister, who was always knew best, or Santa won't bring you anything. Here, you'd better start again. Oh, all right. A hula hoop then, said Truffle, throwing away his letter. He put his new letter into an envelope and addressed it to Santa Claus, North Pole. On Christmas Eve, the mice hung their stockings up in a neat row. I'm getting a nurse's uniform, announced Emmeline. I'm getting a chemistry set, said George, Truffle's big brother. The littlest mice squeaked excitedly. They wanted teddy bears. Then all the mice went to bed. Mother Mouse put their blanket over them and tucked them in. It wasn't a very big blanket and didn't quite cover them all. Emmeline got most of the blanket because she was the oldest. Then George, then Truffle. But the littlest mice, they were right on the edge and they were cold. And they lay shivering. So Truffle gave them his part of the blanket. But then he got cold. Bother, said Truffle as he stared out into the darkness. I wish I'd asked for a blanket and not a hula hoop. Bother, I know, he said, suddenly sitting bolt upright. I'll wait for Santa. I'll tell him I changed my mind. There we go, back to the second thoughts on his Christmas list, but now he's gonna go wait for Santa out in the snow. Truffle crept out of bed, tiptoed to the mouse hole. There he waited, and he waited, but Santa didn't come, and didn't come. It's no use here, grumbled Truffle. I'll go outside where I can see farther. I'd better take something to eat just in case I get hungry. So he packed an apple core, a bread crust, and half a peanut, and he went off into the night, dragging his picnic behind. He's a hungry little mouse. He took a lot to eat. It was very cold. Lots of snow, full moon, waiting for Santa out in the snow. He's brave. I don't know if I'd go out in the cold all by myself to wait for Santa. As he waited for Santa, Truffle became hungry, so he unpacked his picnic. First, he ate his bread crust, very slowly. Then he ate his apple core, very, very slowly. Finally, he ate his half a peanut, very, very, very slowly. But still Santa did not come. Truffle stood up and brushed his whiskers. I'll go over there to that hill there where I can see Santa and Santa can see me, he said firmly, and he plodded off. There he is. He is determined to let Santa know about his blanket. I think he was thinking about himself and his whole family about his present, not just himself. So in the woods, a fox barked. We know what foxes like to eat. And an owl hooted. We know what owls eat too. And a tabby cat pricked up his ears. Truffle was scared, but he trudged on and on. The clouds covered the moon. The candle in Truffle's lantern went out. It was very dark. Truffle felt all alone and very tired. So he sat down and tried to watch for Santa, but his eyes kept shutting. Softly, it started to snow. Truffle fell asleep. Now, said the fox, before the snow covers him entirely. Now, said the owl, before the greedy fox gets them. Now, said the tabby cat, because I'm very, very hungry. Then, just before the fox jumped, and the owl swooped, and the tabby cat pounced, there was a tinkling of sleigh bells. A tinkling and jingling of sleigh bells. There was rattling and creaking of harnesses. There was pattering and shuffling of hooves. But Truffle was fast asleep. He didn't notice a thing until a reindeer snorted in his face. Eek! Squeaked Truffle. What's this? Said Santa. A mouse? Poor little mouse, how cold you are. Truffle shivered. Why aren't you tucked up in bed? Said Santa. I came out to find you, mumbled Truffle, still half asleep and rather muddled. I wanted a hula hoop, but we really need a blanket. Said Santa. I think it's time I took you home. He tucked Truffle into his pocket. And it showed you a picture. And away they went, over the fox, the owl, and the tabby cat, over the forest and hills, over the fields and hedges, and they didn't touch the ground until they reached Truffle's home. See if you can see all the animals that were peeking, waiting to eat him up for a Christmas snack. But he was saved by Santa Claus and the reindeer. Truffle was asleep again, so fast asleep that he didn't even sit when he didn't even stir when Santa fished him out of his pocket and returned him to his mouse hole. Santa's hand brushed up against a little piece of crumpled paper lying on the ground. He unfolded it carefully because it's mouse-sized paper. These were mouse Christmas lists. Dear Santa, it said in tiny mouse letters, I would like a hula hoop, blanket, hula hoop, blanket. Aha, said Santa. I see. Emmeline was the first to wake up on Christmas morning. She squealed loudly and woke up George, Truffle, and the little mice. They all squealed too, for not only were they lying under the reddest, warmest, coziest blanket that they'd ever been, they were lying on the most beautiful bed for mice in the world. Look at all the presents in that cozy bed. Must have been like a dream waking up in that bed with that warm, fuzzy blanket. And Emmeline had her nurse's uniform. George had his chemistry set. The littlest mice had their tiny teddy bears. And Truffle had his hula hoop. He smiled happily, and on his whiskers there still clung a little bit of red fluff from Santa's pocket. Look at him hula hooping up a storm. The end. And the next day they went out and played in the snow. Very nice. So what's really cool about Truffle's Christmas is as much as he wanted to think about himself for a toy, he thought about not only himself but his whole family, and they all ended up in that warm, comfy bed with a warm blanket. So Christmas time is a great time to not only get fun stuff, but also fun stuff we need. I don't like this part. So celebrate this Christmas. Help others. Be kind. Remember, we're here to learn and love and grow. Thank you. Merry Christmas.